All right, you've made it through the first three of the array methods. The reason I'm spending so much time on array methods is because arrays are one of the most commonly used data types in all of programming. Objects are definitely going to be there, but you need to know how to properly mutate arrays because that's how you're going to display lists of contacts, lists of posts, lists of comments. Arrays are how you're going to be doing all of that. So you need to know how to use the data structure properly and use the methods that are given to you. So let's talk about the find one. So in this case, we are going to, the way that find works is it returns the value of the first element to meet the given criteria. So here are two examples of what we're going to do. So figure out if there are any negative numbers in this array. So we just want to find out if there are any. So if there is, let's just console log true or yes. So the way to do this is we're going to, as we always do, we're going to set up a variable. So we're going to call it negative. So what we're going to do is we'll say numbers dot find. And what you'll pass into find is a callback. We always structure it the same way. Now, find, unlike reduce, is more like filter and more like map. You can only really pass in up to three. You could pass in the E, the I, and the array in that order, but the names don't matter. In this case, we really only need the E. So let's just call it num. Just signify the non-plural because for in numbers, we have num. So one num, two num, three num, four num, five num. That's why it's called numbers, and this is just one of the numbers. So inside here, what we're going to do is we will, if we hit a condition that is true, we will take that value and it will be the only value we keep. So we'll say if, and we're trying to find negative. So if number is less than 0, then it's negative. And if it's less than 0, we want to return true. Let's console.log our negative number first. Let's see what happens. Ooh, it found our negative 2. So now, if we want to do this, we could say if negative number, so if it found something, because remember, so negatives are truthy values. So if there is something in there, because let's say that this was 2, let's let this guy console log one more time. Undefined. There wasn't something in there. So a negative number is truthy. Because if we said, let's uncomment that guy. So we're going to say if negative number, because if it finds something, if it finds that negative 2, that's a truthy value. Negative 2 is true. But so if we say, hey, if there was something in there, let's console log there is a negative. Else console.log all positive. So right now it should say there is a negative. There is a negative. But let's change this to 4. Let's see what happens now. All positive numbers. Because when find numbers executed, it tried to find something that hit, but it made it to the end without ever returning true. And because it never returned true, well, then it must be false. So it said, there's no such thing. I can't find something that hits this parameter and becomes true. So else, well, they must all be positive. So perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Now let's go on to the next piece in our little puzzle here. We can see that down here we've got guests. So this one you're going to try on your own. You've got your friend asks you to write a program to search through guests at a party tonight and see if her crush has RSVP'd. Figure out if there is a Ryan at the party. So here are your guesses. It looks like in this example, yeah, we've got Orion. So we should return true. He's there. Or yes, just return something that says it in the command line in the affirmative. So take a second, pause, and see if you can figure out if Ryan exists in that array. All right, let's try. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to, again, just set and say temp Ryan. We're going to just like the office. But we're going to say guests dot find, and we're always going to organize it correct before we do anything else. So we put in our callback function. Inside here, like in all the other ones, you put in the each element as it goes through. So find this element that goes in here will first be Carl, then Mike, then Anthony, then Peter, then Ryan, then Joe, then Tucker. So let's just put in guest. This is our guests. So this is just one of the guests. It's one guest. So inside here, we're going to say, hey, if guest is equal to Ryan, then return true. So now temp Ryan will either be undefined because there's nothing in it, or temp Ryan will have Ryan in there. Let's call this crush. So then we're going to say if crush. So is there something in there, or is it empty? Is it undefined, or does it have Ryan in it? So if crush, and then we're going to say console.log, he will be there. Else, console.log, he bailed on you. Sorry. Now we can see if this is going to work. He will be there. He's in there. Now let's get rid of him. Let's run it. Oh, he bailed on you. Now let's bring him back into the question. And then the reason I renamed it to crush is because now if I had to check that it was some specific text each time, I can really just change this guy. Hey, maybe this person's crush is now changed to Peter. Let's see if Peter's in there. He will be there. Yeah, Peter is in there because I can just say, hey, if the crush was Peter, then change it. And then that way I can say, hey, if that person in our statement exists, then he will be there. Otherwise, he bailed on you. So now we've finished all of the array methods that I think are really important to be able to move forward and learn a bunch. As far as React, Vue, Angular, they all really require you to know your methods and your arrays very, very well. So I'll see you in the next video and we'll keep going on our JavaScript journey. See you there. Bye.